25 more games, 25 more games, 25 more games, 25 more games.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello. Welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite tanking team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, even when they lose 7-2. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well, or do both. Both is great. We haven't seen a beatdown like this in a while for the Sharks. I would have to say go back to the Kraken game. Was last time we saw one this bad. But Sharks lose 7-2 in Timo Meier's return. So we'll talk about Mackenzie Blackwood leaving this game with an injury, how the Sharks kind of played with the Devils at least for a little bit and then got absolutely housed. We'll talk about if Kaapo Kahkonen has to kind of hold down the fort, what that's going to look like, and we'll get caught up on the latest trade rumors. So before we get into all that, I do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Whoa. Yeah, that was a hockey game. Like I said, we haven't seen one that bad recently. I think it's the Kraken game is the last one you go back. They lost that one to 7-1. I think that was right around Thanksgiving or Christmas, around the holiday. But for the most part, the Sharks have been really kind of competitive in games, just talent poor. Tonight was very much especially after Mackenzie Blackwood left the game. This was just simple hockey plays can't be executed, and the team just looked dead on arrival, especially as the game wore on. The third period was just dead man walking for the Sharks as they gave up a bajillion goals in the third period. Realistically, it was 4 goals in the third period. All of them just poor Kaapo Kahkonen tonight. Did not have a strong game in relief, of course, when you give up 7 goals, but did not get much help in front of him. But the big news, of course, is Mackenzie Blackwood leaving this game with an injury. Shang Peng and all the beat writers are saying lower body injury. They'll have more about the severity tomorrow. So by the time you hear this, you might have actually know what's going on with Mackenzie Blackwood. But this could get real ugly, and we'll talk about Kaapo Kahkonen's kind of immediate workload and what that's probably going to look like here, as he's going to probably get to the lion's share, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But Blackwood was stellar tonight, and if you look at especially that power play, I think the Devils got a power play in the first period, and they got eight shots on goal in that 2 minutes span, and Blackwood was just doing everything he can to keep this game from getting out of hand early. But it was very much with Blackwood out, this team just kind of fell apart, which is probably why the Sharks want to keep Blackwood for an extended period of time. But if it's frustrating for Blackwood, because you knew that you could tell, I think, that he wanted to kind of have this game. I know he didn't start last time and Kaapo Kahkonen got the start last time when it was in New Jersey, and he said, I didn't care. That's just how the rotation kind of worked. But it's human nature for you to want to, a team that was willing to give you up for a 6th-round pick, a team that is desperately in need of goaltending. And Nico Daws, I thought, was fine for New Jersey tonight. but a team that is desperate for goaltending right now gave you up for a 6th-round pick. I mean, the only 2 worst picks is a 7th-round pick or future considerations, basically, or your 2 worst trades. And Mackenzie Blackwood's been awesome for the Sharks this year. Like him and like Kaapo Kahkonen tonight notwithstanding, you could argue him and Kahkonen have been the team MVPs, and you'd wonder where this team would be, how bad this team would be without those guys kind of stealing games for the Sharks here and there. But if Blackwood is out for a serious period of time, I expect Kaapo Kahkonen to play better than he played tonight. Again, we've had a good run of Kaapo Kahkonen since before Christmas. Kind of since right after Thanksgiving. Just kind of a good run of Kaapo Kahkonen. He had a bad tonight, but again, nobody had a good night in San Jose. Anybody was wearing their Cali Finn jersey tonight. Nobody had a good night tonight. It was just a hot mess. And usually I'm gonna go through the numbers and stuff, but it's this again. It's 7-2. It's trying to put lipstick on the pig here if you're looking at it, but I did think it was interesting how, especially the first period, the Sharks sneakily outplayed New Jersey. If you take out the power play, right, but you just look at focus on that 5v5, the first period, 23-14 shot attempts in favor of San Jose. Actual shots was 12-7, 9-3 scoring chances, 7-1 high danger chances, all in favor of San Jose. 1.3 expected goals, 4-0.37. I mean, we've had games where the Sharks have gotten 1.3 expected goals for. Both these teams this game turned into a track meet, and there was a very sloppy play on both sides. And I know Devils fans are gonna, I know I'm definitely every Devils fan's favorite podcaster, and they should be very happy that their team won 7-2. But I'd be worried just a little bit, just with the style of play. And yes, the Sharks are a very talent poor team, but they created, in this entire game, they created 3.31 expected goals for, 14 high danger chances, 25 scoring chances for the Sharks. Like, a more talented team is going to take advantage of those. So just again, hats off to the Devils. They had their night. Good to see Timo back on the ice. I thought, goodbye the fans, give them a nice ovation, et cetera, et cetera. But Devils are not going to be playing the Sharks every night, and they took advantage of a Sharks team that just was not ready to play, or basically faded after the first period. So we did one other small highlight. So we did get the Zadina Eklund Kunin pairing. They played 13-01 together, 18 shot attempts. So Corsi for 18-23. Actual shots was 9-14 in favor of them. Did have 1.06 expected goals for, while giving up 1.55. Again, defenses for nerds. 7-13 scoring chances, 6-5 high danger chances. So that line did provide some offense. The numbers look way worse. If I checked after the second period, it was a lot close. It was actually, the Eklund line was kind of out shooting and out producing. They're going into the third period, but that third period where the Sharks, they were just ready to go home. So just something to keep an eye on. We'll see here, but again, trying to put a little bit of lipstick on the pig. So I mean, it is what it is. It's a 7-2 loss. We've lived through enough of these this year. So we're going to talk about what Kaapo Kahkonen's workload is going to be potentially looking like, and if we might get another Magnus Chrona start here soon, depending on Mackenzie Blackwood's injury. So we'll get into all that and get caught up on some of the latest trade rumors and news and notes here in just a little bit. If you're trying to look for tickets for whatever, baseball season's right around the corner, you want to catch a Warriors game, Warriors playoffs are going to be here, go catch a show this summer, whatever you want to do, you got to check out Game Time. Game Time has killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. The thing I love about Game Time is you actually get to see your seats. There's nothing worse than getting to your venue, concert, whatever, and you get there and you realize you have a bad seat. Actually, the only thing worse is when you go to check out and they slam a bunch of fees on top. That's where the all-in pricing comes in. So you know exactly what you're going to pay when you check out. There's no surprises. You can buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps, and they're obsessed with finding ways to save you money on tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Again, guys, Steph Curry, Warriors starting to heat up here as they make a push to the playoffs. Just keep betting on Steph Curry, doing cool Steph Curry things, because there's nothing more fun than watching one of your favorite players do awesome things and then winning some money on top of it. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, Kaapo Kahkonen's workload. So we're going to be kind of looking at a little bit at the Sharks schedule here, and what we can try to surmise out of this, assuming that the Mackenzie Blackwood injury, maybe puts him out for a little bit, right? We saw, Blackwood was kind of banged up a little bit earlier this year. I think he, missed about a week's worth of games during that time. So if we're just kind of projecting, probably keep him out for, a couple games here, what we might see out of Kaapo Kahkonen. So the Sharks don't play again until Thursday. They play the Ducks at home, and then they have a 2-game road trip to the Midwest. Is Dallas? I guess Dallas isn't really the Midwest. The central part of the country. They play Dallas on Saturday, and then they shoot up to Minnesota to play the Wild on Sunday, and then are back home on Tuesday to play the Stars again. So 2 Stars games and 3, which will be fun. And then with an Islanders game before they start East Coast road trips, or not East Coast road trip, before they play. Then they at home for a little bit here. So let's see. I assume Kaapo Kahkonen is going to start on Thursday against the Ducks. Kaapo Kahkonen has played the Ducks, I think, pretty well so far. I'm pulling up his hockey reference right now. I should have gotten this prepared beforehand. But I'm curious to see. Well, I'll dig into this here. Well, I'm curious to see what they do, especially if Blackwood isn't healthy, right? Magnus Chrona did come in as in relief against for the Barracuda against the Ontario Reign. Fun night in San Jose hockey, as the Barracuda gave up 8 goals and the Sharks gave up 7 goals. Chrona came in for relief and gave up 5 goals in that game. But I would assume if Blackwood's going to be out, he's probably the next guy, because we still haven't gotten – Eetu Makiniemi has been ill, hasn't played a game in a while for the Barracuda, and Georgi Romanov is, he's been playing okay down below, but it's still been not, again, wouldn't be right to bring him up into the NHL right now. So I assume Magnus Chrona would be the guy who's gotten called up before. We all know what happened there is they gave up. He got fed to the Wolves, unfortunately. So this year, Kaapo Kahkonen, he did play the Ducks as they lost in overtime back at the end of January. Also played them. No, that's the only time this season where he's played them this year. So where he had 912 save percentage and gave up 3 on 34 shots there. So I assume Kaapo Kahkonen is going to be playing them. The Ducks have been playing a little bit better here recently, but I assume he's going to play then. I assume Kaapo Kahkonen would also play against the Stars on Saturday. The Stars are an absolute unit. I know they lost to Colorado tonight, but the Stars have been really good and are potential Stanley Cup team this year. Then Sunday gets a little dicey, right? You have a Wild team who's struggling, or not struggling, trying to get back into kind of the playoff picture. Do you just run out Kaapo Kahkonen again? Or see if Blackwood's kind of healthy by then? That would give them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that would be 5 days from now. Maybe a little iffy there. Depending if he pulled something, we don't know the severity of the injury, right? Just kind of trying to play here. That could be a potential Magnus Chrona game, which would be, if your team tank, not a bad spot. Minnesota has been playing better though. They're 7-2-1 in their past 10. They're kind of fighting for that one of those wild card spots here. So and they're in the they're basically kind of in playoff mode right now, where they need to win, and they're looking at that Sharks game as we need those 2 points, right? Where's Minnesota in the? So Minnesota, they are 6 points back. So they're 6 points back of Nashville right now. So looking at that, so that could be a potential Magnus Chrona one there. And then I would assume Kaapo Kahkonen would get the Stars game again, if assuming that Mackenzie Blackwood is not quite ready. So I think we're probably going to see a Magnus Chrona game here, unless they want to go back to back. It's not out of the question. I think, you do see it a lot, especially in the AHL. Kaapo Kahkonen has played really well this year. But again, if you're going to have to potentially run him out for, 6-7 starts or five or six starts here right now, you wonder. And then in March, where the Sharks have quite a few back-to-backs coming up here, just wonder with a little bit about the workload there. So I still part of me still thinks if the Sharks do trade Kaapo Kahkonen, I wouldn't be surprised if they do get a veteran AHL, NHL type goalie to kind of come in and play behind Mackenzie Blackwood, especially if now this is twice now where we've had small little nicks and bruises to Blackwood this season. So I'm just kind of curious there. So last time Blackwood kind of had a stretch like this where he played, so that kind of right after Thanksgiving. So he played really well. I think that was the start of him kind of getting things together, right? He played against New Jersey, where he had a 936 save percentage and they won. Played against that crazy game in the Islanders where he had 897 save percentage with four goals allowed, but on 39 shots. Came in for relief against the Detroit. That was again where they gave up 4, and he kind of came in and righted the ship for them. And then he played against Vegas, and that was that shootout loss to Vegas, where that was kind of in the middle of the good vibe Sharks there. That was kind of the streak of the good vibe Sharks there. So Kaapo Kahkonen, he has kind of played pretty well during some of these times here. But again, if you're going to have to kind of hold it down and this team is kind of losing pieces here, it'll be interesting to see how we manage his workload, or how David Quinn manages workload. And if you go to the rookie Magnus Chrona, who's played okay in recently, but again, nowhere near NHL ready. So it'll be an interesting decision to see what the Sharks do here with Mackenzie Blackwood's injury. So we'll get caught up on the latest trade rumors here, and our good friend Elliot Friedman, what he talked about on his recent podcast. So we'll get to all that here in just 1 second. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Deliver 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guarantee Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because at eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, we're closing on the trade deadline, like 10 days away. And still, it's market, there's been like nothing right now. It's kind of crazy. I think it's because everyone's waiting on the Flames to do something, right? The Flames are kind of the big piece. And like last year, I felt like there was way more like big names on the market, and it feels very much more like a meat and potatoes where you're trying to kind of add little pieces here and there. There isn't that like one big guy on the market this year. So maybe that helps out a team like the Sharks, who don't have a big name, right, to try to kind of trade. But so I think, though, that maybe it makes it for a more interesting Friday. So I took the day off, as I always do. I'll be home, sitting in front of my computer with the TV on, ready to put out the content. But yeah, let's get caught up on some of the little news and notes and stuff. So we got news that the Sharks aren't actively shopping Mario Ferraro. And Sheng Peng from San Jose Hockey Now had this on his website, and it makes sense, right? Again, there's a difference between Mike Greer right now. He is listening, right? There he has his list of guys who are like no, and that includes guys like Eklund, Shakir Mukhamadullin. I assume like those guys, right? I assume Fabian Zetterlund's also like a no right now, because Zetterlund's really good and he's really young and he's still going to be a big part of the Sharks. So go ahead and order your Zetterlund jersey. It's safe, but he should, though. His job is to kind of gauge the interest, and if a team gets desperate and is willing to offer you a lot, then you have that conversation. But Mario Ferraro, I think he's going to be an interesting piece for the Sharks going forward, because he kind of fits. He straddles those two. Like, he's not quite part of the new core that's being built, right? And he's kind of that bridge piece between the old core and the new core. And you just wonder what his future is. And I had this conversation with Sheng a couple weeks ago about if does Mario Ferraro get traded, or does he get a new contract from the Sharks at some point? And I think I still think he will be traded at some point, because I worry about how he ages, and he could probably provide a lot of value to a team who's looking for that type of defenseman. But again, you don't have to do anything right now, right? He's 2 years left on his deal. After this season, at $3.25 million, it's not the biggest contract that you have to worry about fitting in, and especially with the trade or the salary cap going up this summer, you're going to start to be able to see, I think, a little bit more of these deals going to happen. I think this is going to be hopefully this is the last year of this cap crunch where teams are just unable to do anything because of just the lack of space. So I don't think he gets traded at this point, unless if a team is willing to offer a first or like a B plus A minus prospect with like a solid pick, then you have that conversation. But we've seen the Sharks defense, and as much as Mario Ferraro is maybe not my favorite defenseman, again, it would be this Sharks defense right now would be something else without Mario Ferraro kind of doing Mario Ferraro things. So interesting though, Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts, he mentioned two names. So Mikael Granlund, teams are kind of doing their work on Mikael Granlund right now, which would make sense, right? I know he's got another year left on his contract at $5 million. You're, again, going kind of into this cap crunch right now. If you're the Sharks, though, if the team is kind of willing to make it work, do you retain some contract? Again, you only have one retention slot left right now for the next couple seasons because of the Erik Karlsson and the Brent Burns trades. Do you retain some if a team is willing, or do you just bring in a third party who's willing to kind of take a nice little cut of the pie to retain some Mikael Granlund contracts? So I'm very interested to see what Mikael Granlund's future is, because he's been really good for the Sharks this year, and really kind of, I think, rebounded his worth and what, kind of his image, especially after a really, really poor experience with Pittsburgh last year. Remember, Granlund was there was a lot of talk of him being a buyout candidate for Pittsburgh until the Erik Karlsson trade. Again, I don't know, what do you get from Grant? What is the cost benefit? What do you get from Granlund that makes it worth it to kind of eat that retention slot, right? And kind of hamstring what you're going to be able to do for the next couple seasons. Again, Sharks they're starting to run out of pieces that they're going to be willing to kind of start to sell off here, and you're going to be kind of getting into the build mode. But we'll see. Also mentioned Luke Kunin, and I've kind of thought about this too, throughout the year, is apparently the Oilers are kind of digging in on Luke Kunin as they want to try to add some grit and toughness. And we know what Luke Kunin can kind of provide in that department. Play hard to play against, popping a couple goals here and there. Again, that was Mike. That was Mike Greer's first kind of move was that trade and acquiring Luke Kunin, and not my I've plenty, again, kind of like Mario Ferraro. I see his value, not my kind of cup of tea usually, but Oilers looking for those kind of cheap contracts that they can kind of fill around the edges of their superstars. And maybe you have to take back a little bit of a bad contract from the Oilers to kind of make things that much better for you when it comes to the coming back. But we'll see where those two guys. I still think Duclair is on his way out. Whatever you can get, teams are looking for a winger. I know Vegas is looking for one. The Rangers are looking, there's plenty of teams out there, and I think Duclair is as good as gone at this point. So we'll continue to have more on the trade deadline. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts, and of course you can watch on YouTube as well. If you missed yesterday, we had another draft profile. Liam Greentree, really interesting guy. Really, if the Sharks don't get Celebrini, they go defenseman with their kind of first pick. Greentree would be a really intriguing piece for them with that Pittsburgh pick, depending on where Pittsburgh that pick ends up. So make sure you guys go check out that one. Might have something fun for you guys tomorrow. If not, we'll come up with something. So make sure you guys, again, follow wherever you get podcasts, where you can watch on YouTube as well. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.